You okay? We're going to call the Transportation Committee meeting to order, Tuesday, May 13th, 2004. The Secretary let it be known Ms. Casso is one absent. The invocation will be led by Councilman Kluwat, followed by the pledge.
Please stand. In the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Dear Lord, we thank you for this day. Lord, we thank you for sparing Ascension Parish through the past bad weather of the last month. And Lord, take care of the folks that were hurt in other areas. Lord, we ask that you look upon Ascension Parish and take care of all the residents in the low-lying areas as we look toward the hurricane season. May everyone please be prepared. We ask this in the name of your Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Anyone wishing to speak on any agenda item, please sign in with Ms. Liz. Number 4, I have no report at this time. We'll move on to number 5, the Road Department monthly report for April. Mr. Pierce.
Yes, for April, we had a total of 1.9 tons of recyclable materials collected at the monthly road show held at Walmart in Prairieville. And so far this year, we have a total of 7.33 tons of recycled materials that's been collected at the Walmart. We have a total of 13.23 tons of recycled materials that were collected at the DPW drop-off in April for a yearly total so far of 56.34 tons. In regards to work orders, and we had 232 total work orders. 10,348 feet of ditches were cleaned. 6,135 feet of culverts were blown out. 306 miles of ditches technically cut. 116 miles of ditches cut. We also had 116 miles, 400 ditches were dug. And 58 miles of ditches sprayed. With litter violations and lot and litter violations, we'll go over the lot first. We had 18 lot violations were reported in April. One was cut by the parish contractor, and one lien was issued in April. And it was issued to the parish, to the property owner that was cut by the parish contractor. 9 lots were cut by the owners. 8 lots are due for re-inspections. And with litter violations processed, we had 12 litter violation complaints were received and processed in DPW in April. 9 of the complainants had no violations were found. 2 complaints were turned over to the Justice of the Peace's Court. The hearings on these complaints have not been scheduled. 1 debris area was cleared by the owner. As of this date, 4 people have been fined for littering, and a bench warrant has been issued for the arrest of 1 individual who didn't show up for court. And the fine has been $150 plus $100 court for a total of $250. There are 5 outstanding citations in the Justice of Peace Court at this time. And these are outstanding because of the difficulty in finding the individuals involved. For a reminder, we have parish roads. We have 507 miles of parish roads, 29 miles on the west bank, 478 on the east bank. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Pierce. Anything else? Mr. Joseph?
I'd just like to give Mr. Heiser for doing the litter and some kudos. He has been doing an outstanding job, Mr. President, on that, reporting the lots violation and the litter. The litter one is the one that I'm real, first time we starting to hear more about litter and going to court on it. And so Mr. Heiser is doing a good job on that. I want to commend him on that.
Mr. Clork,
I didn't have anything.
Todd, you have anything? Thank you for that report, Mr. Parish. Move on to number 6, the road project status report. Jason?
Parish projects totaling approximately $29.5 million. Rodney Road widening from LA 621 to LA 935 is still in the initial processes of getting that and to be funded for 2016. Church Point at Rodney Roundabout, we are still in the right-of-way acquisition of that. I talked to Fenstermaker yesterday, and we have 2 of the parcels we think pretty much locked up. One of them is counter-offering, and one of them is not negotiating right now. But hopefully that will conclude itself shortly. The 2013 road maintenance project, we have finalized or finalizing the list. We're going to have some discussions with the parish president and Mr. Pierce and others trying to finalize that list. But it's the technical specifications and the package is pretty much ready to go. We just have to have the finalized list. Ryder Road at Cannon Roundabout, we're contacting the homeowners to see if how willing they are to negotiate the land acquisition for that before we move forward with any more design work. Parker at 929 Roundabout, the design is continuing. They have gotten formal in writing with the pipeline company of what it's going to cost to armor those pipes. Parish wide horizontal curve sign upgrades, that's still moving along. Highway 42 sewer improvements, I don't know if y'all have driven that, I'm sure y'all have. They're pouring and dropping the lift stations, and then they will build out from there. That is moving along a lot quicker than I thought it was going to move along. I'm pleased with that. Highway 73 sewer improvements, the anticipated completion date has moved back about 16 days again, and it is for Halloween. They're saying that it's gonna go. We still have to test those lines and install the laterals for the homes. The Lamar Dixon access improvements on the turn lanes, that is for all purposes complete. We are looking at extending those turn lanes right now, but the striping is all done and should be open. St. Landry Edenborn connector, that is the contractor selection has been done, and we're just waiting for some paperwork there. State projects, LA 30 mill and overlay, that is going to close tomorrow. I just found out about this. So we're no longer, I actually just found out about this about an hour ago. They're no longer awaiting environmental clearance and safety addendums. This is bid, and the bid opening is tomorrow, so we will find out who gets that hopefully in the next couple of days. LA 431 intersection improvements, they're starting the clearing and grubbing at Airline Highway. The Black Bayou base course is installed. Church Point is nearly complete, and if you've noticed, they're starting to really do some work on the signals out there, which is close to the final work that they're going to be doing at some of these intersections. LA 42 widening, I just talked about that, but this is the actual road widening. The anticipated that shouldn't be completion. The anticipated start date should be February 2015. LA 73 widening from I-10 to Airline Highway, completing sewer and in-ground utilities. They are estimated at 55% complete of the job, with 99% of the given time allotted, and again, that's anticipated completion on Halloween. LA 431 and Gold Place turn lanes, the design on that should be finished in the next 60 days or so, and then we can move along with that. And the LA 22 emergency bankment repair is 71% complete. They're about 30% ahead of schedule on that. Any questions?
Mr. Joseph, Mr. Clewey?
Yeah, on the, could you do me a favor? I think you probably got it on the LA 431 intersection improvements.
Yes, sir.
At Church Point, 935. Could you email me the sketch of that final scope?
Yeah,
I had one about a year and a half ago, and I
Oh.
can't put my hands on it.
you want the design for that? The actual?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, the plot plan,
Yes, sir.
basically, how it's gonna lay out.
Not a problem.
Mr. Lambert?
I'm good, Mr. Chairman.
All right, that will conclude the status report. Number 7, we have a change order. Number 2 for Roundtree Road Bridge. Jason?
This is of course, the second change order for Roundtree Road Bridge replacement. That is basically complete and open. This is, well, it's lowering the cost of it.
Motion.
Moved by Mr. Lambert, second by Mr. Clewey. Any further discussion? Not, motion passed.
Yeah, real quick, when we're looking for this to be, that's just finishing up the paperwork on it now?
We had to do, are you talking about, we're still talking about Roundtree Bridge?
Yeah,
right?
Roundtree.
We had to do a bridge load rating for that. That was completed, and the bridge should be open. Last
Yeah.
I checked, it was open. So it's on the off-system bridge list. It's done. So we have to figure out who's going to pay for the bridge load rating. We haven't negotiated that yet. So.
DOTD.
So there might be a change order number 3 on that.
Thank you, Jake.
Okay, if no other discussion, we'll move on to number 8, the road striping discussion. Jason?
John, could you pull up the, thank you. All right, in front of y'all, you will see the highlighted roads. I have to commend IT on this. They actually changed the cartograph program and our initial database so that we could list which roads should be striped, have a specific category for it to where we now know which ones should be striped, or at least our first list of it. You had asked me, or Councilman Lambert, you had asked me last week to get a cost on what it would take. This is an initial list. It will have to be refined a little more because we have to worry about widths and counts and a whole bunch of other stuff. But this initial list is 65 miles of roads. Using the state standard of thermoplastic, that lasts for 5 to 7 years. I would say it would last more like 5 years here in Ascension Parish due to the rain and sun exposure. Last contract we had was $5,000 per mile to stripe all 3 lines. So 65 miles at $5,000 a mile is $325,000. And then if you divide that once every 5 years and do a rotating program, that would be about $65,000 a year, plus about another $10,000 a year to do stop bars and the miscellaneous arrows and different things like that kind of come up. So if you rotate it on a 5-year basis, it would cost approximately $75,000 a year if we were to do that via contract and not with parish personnel, which I don't think we have a striping crew, so.
Good
Okay.
question.
Sir?
Well, we have a starting point here. That's what I was looking for.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Cloy?
You talked about using the state spec on the thermal?
Yes, sir. It lasts longer.
Yeah, and, but you need pretty much special machines to apply that?
There's
It's
a
limited.
hand walk-behind machine.
Really?
That is about $17,000 that you can use. I don't know the reliability on it. I haven't checked into that, but at $17,000, you might be able to throw them away and replace them. Not literally, but you know what I mean. It's oh, sorry.
That's a lot of walking.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I mean,
But it's
I know that they got several contractors that do it for the state, and there's not a lot of them.
but you would need a
It's crazy to fool with.
But you would need a three-man crew, and that's probably more than $75,000 a year to do.
Thank you.
Mr. President?
I think that if you ride down our roads, this really needs to be done, and I don't know if you need to do it over a 5-year period. I think we just need to bite the bullet and get it done now, and then go on a maintenance program every year, because we did get hit pretty hard with the winter we had and with the amount of rain that we had, and a lot of our roads don't have any striping left. So I think that we need to go ahead and bite the bullet, and whatever it takes to get this done, go ahead and do it now.
I appreciate that, President. Mr. Cloy? Mr. Lambert? Well, if all goes well, I would like to see something put together at the next transportation meeting with, your final numbers and
And a plan.
and I appreciate the map here, so we can go ahead and, put it out to where people can see exactly which ones we're gonna stripe, okay?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Number 9 is the petition for the three-way stop. That's at Waterford subdivision. We have a speaker on this. Let Mr. Miller, Wesley Miller, come up.
Thank you very much. We were here before you guys a couple of months ago. During that meeting, you guys asked us to put together a petition. We have that petition filled out. The request was 75%. I think we're right at 80. The only reason we haven't gotten more was because part of the reason was during the hailstorm, we have a lot of roofers banging on doors, so neighbors are leery of opening their doors to people that they don't know. So that's been quite a challenge on getting the signatures. We've been routing it for over a month now, and we've gotten right at 80% of the signatures. There are one or more circumstances where the homeowner doesn't live in the neighborhood. They either have a leased home or something like that. We do have a couple of vacant houses in our neighborhood as well. Again, to reiterate what our position was, is we were requesting the stop sign not only for traffic flow, but also to slow down speeders in our neighborhood, but also to help with the walking traffic dawn and dusk in that particular area. It's a one-way in, one-way out neighborhood, so it doesn't have any real impact to the overall traffic flow in the parish. So we asked you to consider it.
Motion.
Thank you, Mr. Miller.
Thank you.
Moved by Councilman Kluwat, seconded by Mr. Joseph. Any further discussion? Not, motion passed. Stop signs at Charleston Road and Camden. Jason?
This is a safety issue. There's a canal that's Muddy Creek, thank you. That's less than 200 feet from the end of this stop sign. The stop sign would be an additional safety device to keep people from running off the road into that Muddy Creek. So that's the reason why the request was put in. I agree with it. It's something that would likely be a deterrent for running into Muddy Creek.
Make that motion.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Lambert, second by Mr. Kluwat. Any further discussion? Not, motion passed. Move on to number 11, discussion of sales tax for the Parish Road. Mr. Lambert?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Guys, we've been hashing this out for the last several months on not having enough funding for parish roads. We brought this to the people maybe a year or so back. Time flies by. But the plan was some parish roads, but the majority was state highways. I'd like to make this more simple. It's just, I watched the planning commission meeting the other day, and in committee right now, they're looking at privatizing all new subdivision roads. And the homeowners association is going to have to eat that. So whatever they pay it now, it's going to be increased tremendously. And planning commission is, like I said, they have it in committee right now coming forward to us. Y'all heard how many miles? We got 507 miles of parish roads. This is parish roads, not state highways. You know, a half cent will bring us somewhere roughly right now with what we're taking in at around $11 million a year. We have 2 point something right at 3 million right now that we're trying to maintain all these highways. I don't know about you guys, but I'm getting a lot of calls on highways that I know we're not going to be able to repair because they're a little further on the list as far as prioritizing them. They're going through, administration's going with a good list. You know, they got to be pretty well tore up before we can actually get on it and do any kind of work to them. But they got some areas with some heavily trafficked area. Me and Doc share a road that, you know, LeBlanc's just put a big supermarket there, and we're getting a lot of calls there because the road is, you know, the Plessis Road over there is getting torn up pretty good. Can't do anything with it right now because funding. So I know as we there again, we strapped for time. If we do something, we have to do something this Thursday. We have to, not say, it has to be on the council meeting. The council would have to say, we are discussing, and then we'd have to, June 19th, at the second council meeting in June, to actually make a decision whether we want to put it on the ballot or not. But we do have to move. I talked to Jim Ryan today, and we do have to move as early as Thursday in order to put this, open it for discussion for another month before. You know, we used to have a little bit extra surplus funds for roads, but we're tackling the sewer project right now, about $60 million. It's a $60 million loan. Well, all of our surplus that we used to have that we put in roads, we don't have it anymore. It's paying that loan for sewer. So we don't have that anymore. We stuck with 2 point something right at $3 million a year to maintain the parish roads that we have. But I am making it real simple. It's nothing go after the half-cent sales tax, but strictly parish roads. Now, we're talking down the road, taking in some of the state highways. You know, we may do that, at that point, they become a parish road. And we'll have the funding, and I was worried about 30, 40 years after the state credits runs up, who's going to be paying for these roads that we, miles and miles of state highways. Well, if we don't have a funding source now, building, I would myself not like to take any state highways in, but if we do, we'd have parish funds to maintain them. And I think it's something that everybody, I did poll it when we brought it up the last time. I did have some opposition, especially because of the state. A lot of people know we pay a state tax and they know we pay a parish tax for roads, and they're, feel everybody should pay their part. But we're to the point now where I can't see us letting all new subdivisions go private with the roads, because, it's going to be a hardship, and guess who's going to get the calls? The citizens don't know that they pay the taxes just like people that's paying them on the subdivision that the public owns the road. So we need to really look at this hard, open it up for discussion, but if all comes to it, we do need to move on it as early as Thursday at the council meeting, just for more discussion until next month. If we don't do it then, we couldn't get it on the ballot for November, after talking to Jim today. And I just think it's I think this amount of money, I know we can't, administration and engineering came to us and said it took 18 million to make every road in our parish road perfect. I don't think we'll ever get to the perfect standard, but I can get, with around 11 million plus the 2 or 3 that we have now that's dedicated for it, we'd have 13, 14 million. I think we could do some major road projects that would put our parish roads up to standard and get them away from the substandard roads. So, it's kind of where I'm at, and I'm willing to put my name on it, you know, as pushing for it. And that's something I don't do often.
Thank you, Mr. Lambert. Mr. Lewis?
Yeah, thank you, Todd. Well, you know, looking at that, Todd, we, you know, not only just resurfacing, keeping them in good shape, but we have parish roads that we need to widen.
Correct.
We're not going to get away with working some intersections close to state roads, things to improve traffic flow. That's what we're looking for, public safety and traffic flow. We do know that the budget is strapped, supporting a lot of unsupported things we do for the parish residents that we don't have dedicated services for. You know, this is a rough number right here, and I'm sure we could match the work to equal that number and get it in shape. So I don't have a problem with the discussion.
Mr. Joseph?
Yeah, no, we all know we gonna need roads, and I don't like going back to gravel roads. So,
You want,
so definitely, the only thing is, I'd like to go back to the discussion and have some type of plan of how we're gonna do it, Todd, get more depth. I know the last time we went after it, it wasn't a success, and I'd just like to have a better plan so the public can have their real input on it and give a real discussion on it. So that, you know.
And I think the big plan is the engineering department's already got a priority list that we could jump on right away if we had this funding to start doing a lot of major projects, you know. And once we get to that, get our roads up to par, then we still have this funding here, then we can start looking at the widening road projects like Randy's talking about, the turn lanes that do intersect with some state highways. That's going to help, that we can work that. Plan is really simple. It's just a dedicated fund to go strictly for parish roads, and you know, I see it to be a you know, a plus for everybody.
And the only reason
Yeah.
I'd say what the plan is, to say it's pretty simple, but when it comes to the public, you know, they would love to have their more input on it, and just because it's parish road, then you know, they feel they're part of it, and that's all.
And I'm not one to, you know, timeline, you know, come up at the last minute. So, you know, if we don't have to meet the November ballot, you know, we could do something and keep moving forward with it. I don't have any problem with that, you know, but if we want to try to move, and which I know the planning commission's in committee right now talking about privatizing all the subdivision, new subdivision roads, and so something to look at.
I'd like to keep the discussion open.
Mr. President, anything from the administration?
Well, y'all know how I feel about roads, so, I mean, anything that we can do to help, I'd certainly support also, and I think that by doing just parish roads, you know, it's going to help the system out, and certainly if we can make some of our roads that are narrow and some of the roads that have deep ditches in them and go out and cover them, and there's several of those roads in our parish that need to be addressed. I think that's kind of a plan that you need to think about putting together. So again, I think just to say we're going to overlay is one thing, but I really would hope that we'd put a plan with certain roads that are most dangerous and come up with a list of those roads that
They
need
have
to be
them.
addressed first.
Yeah.
So.
I'm sure the department has, you know, all these roads listing, you know.
Mr. Lloyd, you have something?
Yeah, just what the parish president talked about, that if we got some steep ditches, that's a lot of cost. We did that in a small portion, Todd, over in your district, and, you know, we've got a couple roads that, like, up in Terry's district and Chris's district that we're looking at. And, you know, it's more than just building roads. To take care of roads, we're talking about cutting the grass, doing all kind of stuff. The good stop signs that we were blessed with to be able to put, I know a good many of them in my district, the flashing solar stop signs, that's $1,000 bill, you know, and So there's a lot of associated costs with roads. And one of the things, before we can improve some of the parish roads, we're gonna go out for land acquisition. And right now, that's bumping on 20% or better of project costs. So, you know, that's a heavy cost. And, you know, Todd, you've been around several terms ago when y'all, you know, you looked at moving a little land acquisition here to widen the road, and it never came through. You never did get all the land. The plan just didn't come through. And it's basically because you're just fighting for pennies. We have, I want to touch one more thing on the some of the services that we have that are pulling right now. I don't have a list of all of them, but we've got several services that are pulling out the general fund and pulling from the road, from money that we could shove the road. And that, you know, if we put the money on the road, then we can take care of the other services.
They would put more
Just
than.
to let you know, just for the road and bridge department, every year, we have to transfer out of general fund around $7 million. So
Yeah.
if we take in, like last year, about $20 million, that's about 35% of the budget goes straight from the general fund into the road and bridge department, not counting what we spend on maintaining the roads, as far as overlays and those type, maintenance type things.
And with the money, is that part of the money that we're using now for the loan payback for the sewer?
No, that's money that,
It's just for that.
that's every year
Strictly
you have to
general fund.
balance the budget. So
Yeah.
we have to transfer from general fund to the road and bridge fund, because the road and bridge fund really has no dedicated funds either. So,
Ms. Gwen's been telling us that in the finance meetings that, you know, they've been having to pull. And guys, number one issue that we have in this parish right now is roads, is transportation, is
Transportation.
infrastructure.
Moving traffic.
We can't get anywhere, and it's getting worse. We're getting more and more people moving in, more and more industry moving in, which we got to accept industry, because that's where almost 60% of our revenue for this parish is coming from, is the petrochemical, and without them, we'd be in a real bind. So, yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Lambert.
So, you know, I don't know if we need to, if we want to keep it up for discussion to get it on this November ballot, we can make a motion just to bring it to the full council, and it's up to the chairman of the council whether we can put it 2/3 on the agenda come Thursday night, so. I'd like to go ahead and, you know, make that motion that we bring it forward, and if it goes forward, if not, we'll keep it up for discussion. I don't want to let it lie.
In this committee, at least.
Yeah.
Moved by Councilman Lambert,
Second.
second by Councilman Joseph, to keep the discussion of the sales tax for the parish-wide roads. Any opposition? If not, motion will pass. Just, I'm gonna close with this. You know, I'd like to see a united front with this, and I mean, you know, all of us, because, you know, it's pretty bad. You know, you mentioned the plants. It's pretty bad when the plants right now are getting, contacting, local engineers and engineers out there to try to get their people back and forth to work and different things. So I'd like to see a united front from all of us here. If we're gonna do this, let's stay serious and let's go with it, all together. We'll move on to number 12, resolution. This is one of our yearly resolutions. Jason?
Tommy, you want to say something? Oh.
I'm sorry.
Oh, that's fine.
Go ahead, man.
Bob Horner. This is like you say, an annual resolution to file with the state on our capital roads improvement program. It's just a paper trail that allows us to qualify for federal funding on our roads. You've got a list there of streets.
Appreciate you, Bob. Motion by Mr. Cluott, second by Mr. Lambert. Any other discussion on the resolution? Not, motion passed. Number 13, discussion of speed cushions on ticket duplexes. Mr. Lambert?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Was here when we put them cushions down, and we had a lot of opposition then, and I'm still getting calls since my district actually moved half. I got half the road. Doc has the other half. Getting a lot of calls and complaints with car problems, front end joints and stuff having issues. We are repairing these cushions occasionally because I've been quite a few times down there and half of them's gone. They're breaking off and we're replacing them, so it's a cost, and these cushions are not cheap. It is a little through road. I don't see a speeding issue there because it's not a lengthy road. It is a cut-through road a lot of people use. I would just see, liability-wise, I think we have an issue if someone was to hit this. I've been on board now 16 years after this term, and several of our legal advisors, relayed to us that someone would hit this bump and hit the roll over in the ditch, the parish would be liable for it. It's a liability there. I know it's a speed cushion, it's not a speed bump, hump, but it's still, if they speed, then who's to say they were speeding and wasn't speeding when it goes to court, if they didn't have anybody there with a gun on them, so, radar gun. So I would like to see us get them out. And I know that a lot of the residents in that area will also. So I make a motion to send it to the full council and see what happens. Remove them.
Question, Mr. Joseph?
Yeah, I don't think any of the engineers was here when we did that, but I think that was a grant.
It was a grant.
Yeah.
But we are paying for repairs out of road fund too right now.
You also had them on by your terrace.
Yeah. Well, we didn't put them there.
That's
They
what I
were
said, that's
gonna
where
go
they're gonna go.
Yeah.
Can,
So-
Mr. President?
can we hear from them?
We're gonna have to check that grant to make sure that we can legally pull them off.
Okay.
Since we applied for the grant and wanted to put them on the road, I'm not sure, but I'll have,
Pending legal,
we'll
yeah.
do some research and have legal look into it.
Mr. Bob Turner was
And
around
we'll
there.
have that for you, Thursday night. We should have that for you.
Is this going up, this is not going Thursday night, huh? This transportation?
No, it'd be the following.
It'd be the following,
in
it'd be the
Donaldsonville,
first
yeah,
meeting
first.
in
Yeah.
June.
We'll have it for sure by then.
Okay, so let's
Yes,
make that
second.
motion pending legal.
Illegal.
Second.
Second by Mr. Cluett. Other discussion on it? If not, motion passed. Number 14,
Motion adjourned, Mr.
moved by
Chairman.
Mr. Lambert.
Second.
Second by Mr. Cluett to adjourn. Thank you.